Tennessee going to Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma's first SEC game as a member. It is Josh Heupel's return to Oklahoma. And Ari, so we're doing the Wendy's sauciest takes tomorrow. And you're responsible for the 3 takes this time. I'll be judging which of your 3 takes is the sauciest.
My first one is that Kentucky should have gone for it on 4th. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, we can listen if you want.
Do you want to do it
that again?
I'll run it back tomorrow.
No, we're not running it back tomorrow. You have to come up with something new. You've already written about it, and we've talked about it twice. All right, but since you're responsible for those 3, I've got one that I've wanted a take that I've needed to get off this week. So I'm going to get it off here.
Okay.
Josh Heupel needed to be fired at Oklahoma to become the coach he became ultimately at UCF and Tennessee.
Let's unpack that.
Getting fired at Oklahoma sent him on the vision quest that led him to this offense, because he ran a different offense at Oklahoma that led him to the Baylor Art Briles offense that he has taken and then evolved to the version they run now. He needed that. He needed to go on that vision quest, find that offense, and find who he was as a coach, which allowed him to work, do well at Utah State, do well at Missouri, which put him on the radar to become UCF's head coach. And now here he is at Tennessee. I know he's still very mad about getting fired by Bob Stoops, and I understand why. But as bad as it was, I'm not sure he's this guy without it.
Seen a lot of the Bob Stoops clip on Twitter this week. It's going to be a fun week. That's a very interesting thought process, and if you don't write about it, I'm just going to steal that idea. We work together.
No, I'll write about it.
Oh, God. Oh, God. No, but it's a really smart analysis there, because it's possible that he might not be who he is today had he never left. And the thing, too, is that he kind of worked his way up the hard way. This isn't just like he got gifted the Tennessee job when he was young. Like he went to multiple stops, learned something new, cultivated his knowledge, built programs, and then was eventually hired here. And even when he was hired at Tennessee, he was never appreciated right away. And now it's like, you've said this, and I 100% agree. It's like, does Tennessee, with a pick of who their coach could be, even find somebody outside of Nick Saban that they would rather have at this point?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like with all these jobs that are going to come open this year, you've mentioned this multiple times, and I feel like we should remind people, like whoever you think is the ideal coach might be, but nobody thought Josh Heupel was the ideal coach for Tennessee except Danny White. And look how that turned out. Like, sometimes
the more I'm thinking
the right guy
is that, like, who were the slam dunk hires of the last 10 years, and did they work and not work? Like Scott Frost comes to mind. There wasn't a single person
didn't work
on earth that thought. I mean, like Jim Harbaugh worked, right? Obviously,
yes.
But for the first 5
years, eventually,
like, people forget in the COVID year, people wanted him out. It takes time sometimes too. And like my whole premise with college football, and I think it's like the Dabo Swinney hypothesis here, is that there are programs that actually have the right guy, and because patience doesn't exist anymore, that having the right guy never gets to materialize because they're fired too soon. Like Dabo, I think won 10 games in his second year at Clemson, but I think in year 3, people were out on him, if I remember correctly.
They were, and he made a very drastic change. He fired Billy Napier as his offensive coordinator and hired Chad Morris. And then the following, they won the ACC, and then they, had that horrible Orange Bowl against West Virginia. He fired Kevin Steele as his defensive coordinator, who wound up actually becoming a very good defensive coordinator against those offenses later in his career, but fired Kevin Steele and hired, well, here's how we bring this full circle to this Tennessee-Oklahoma game, Brent Venables.
Yeah.
And Brent Venables, I think, was the last missing piece that created that Clemson dynasty. And why was Brent Venables available? Another decision by Bob Stoops. And this one I don't agree with as much as the Josh Heupel one. Their offense was stagnating. They hired Lincoln Riley. Their offense did get better. Bob Stoops was going to basically demote Brent Venables so he could make his brother the DC. And his brother was not a good DC at Oklahoma. That's why Brent Venables went to Clemson. And it ended up creating, ultimately completing what Clemson needed to be, and then helped Venables wind up getting the Oklahoma job.
But there is an alternate world in there somewhere where the ball bounces one way or whatever, where Clemson could have fired Dabo. Like it before Clemson became what they became.
Because he didn't have the equity. They easily could have just said, you know what? We tried with the interim guy. He had a nice year, but this isn't going to work. And they didn't.
We need something bigger and better long term, and you don't get to see that materialize. But there have been a lot of slam dunks or good hires that haven't worked. So, like when it comes to hiring a football coach to lead a program in the modern era, that almost feels like as big of a crapshoot as picking the quarterback you want to lead your NFL team. Like, I mean, I watched the Caleb Williams game the other night, and I'm like, this guy looks like he doesn't belong on the field right now. And I'm not saying he can't be great eventually, but like this is supposed to be the most can't miss prospect since Trevor Lawrence, who's also struggling. So like it's hard to feel really good about who you're hiring immediately. But I think that very soon into the tenure, it didn't take long for Josh Heupel to be like, all right, guys, this is my deal now. Like,
I got
it going there. Don't be upset the day someone's hired. Be upset 2 years in when it looks like what's going on in Florida. Like, I don't think that we have a very good feel. And the reason why they pay millions and millions of dollars for these search firms to do the thing that we do on this podcast is there's so much money invested in who the coach should be. There's so much money invested in who the quarterbacks are scouted for the NFL. Like, these are really big decisions. And frankly, with all the money in the world thrown at it, you still get them wrong all the time.
Correct. Now, Heupel definitely seems loose going back to Oklahoma.
Should be a great crowd. It's a passionate fan base. I'm expecting them to be extremely quiet for us out of respect to me and our program too. So,
Josh Heupel's got jokes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I brought you a national title, people. You're going to keep it down when we're on offense, right? Right.
I mean, it would be, honestly, I don't know if this could ever happen, but it would be super respectful. And like, I think a really nice moment in sports, like you would see in a movie if like the place was silent on Tennessee's first offensive play.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like, could you imagine how cool of an atmosphere that would be? I think they're going to do the exact opposite, but it would be kind of a cool, like, I do think that, like, when they
say his name at some point before the game and the crowd cheers, because I think they will. I think the Oklahoma fans will definitely cheer for Josh Heupel once, and then they'll get back to booing his team.
Yeah, but I just I do think that in college football, when you win a national championship for a program, whether it be a player or a coach, that even if bad, uncomfortable things happen after, that you're always one of them. Like, I just think that stays with you forever. And even if they're going to hate Tennessee and hope like hell their team wins, that there should be a level of respect and admiration for a person that put a trophy in your building, because that doesn't go away.
Well, Heupel got asked about that.
Well, let's go ahead and get to it.
What are you going to talk about?
Let's talk about Nebraska. You go back into Norman. Have you thought about the emotions when you walk into that stadium?
Yeah, it'll be unique. I had teammates and friends back there. They hit me up a little bit early. They were starting last week already. It'll be unique going back into that stadium. It's going to be a viewpoint. I'm not sure I've ever spent a day on the opposing sideline inside of that stadium, not even for a scrimmage. So it'll be different, but it's one that I'm really looking forward to. There's so many people that have been a huge part of my journey that I get a chance to go back and hopefully get a chance to say hi to a bunch of them. It starts with teammates. It's coaches that I had. It's a lot of coaches that I coached with. There's a lot of personnel that's still there. Guys that I coached, guy that was in my wedding. There's a lot of people back there that I'm familiar with and have a lot of respect for.
Ari, I cannot wait for this game. I'm very jealous that you're going to be there, because this is something the Oklahoma fans have been waiting for a long time. Not the Heupel return, but just them debuting in the SEC, them being able to show against a kind of an old school SEC team, hey, we've been dominating at football for a long time. And then Tennessee, you've got Nico Mania, you got maybe Josh Heupel's most complete team since he's been there. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. And again, another piece of admiration for the game that we get, despite the fact that it stinks that Texas and Oklahoma to me are not of the Big 12 anymore. I cannot wait to get up there. I'm fired up. I don't know. Do I go Friday night? Do I go Saturday morning? Like, I don't know. We're going to figure it out, but it's going to be a night game. It's going to be awesome. And I think that, regardless of who wins this game, that it's going to go a long way in helping us contextualize who's legit and who's not. Like, I predicted on Monday that I think Tennessee is going to win this game by multiple scores. I think that they are that good this year, and I'm actually starting to question whether or not I think this team belongs on the same field as Texas and Georgia. I'm almost there to could Tennessee win the national championship this year? Like, that is a thought process in my head. So, man, I'm expecting big things. I mean, Andy, the pieces are in place.
The pieces are in place. They're complete. But they have to be able to do things like go to Norman and win a game. Right. That's how you prove it. Ari, I'm going to give you a recommendation. Now, Norman, Oklahoma, suburban OKC in general, one of the more interesting things about the place is hardly anyone charges for queso, and queso's extra everywhere else. So just a thought if you're looking for bargain shop. But I'm going to give you another one. If you decide to go up the night before, or if you decide to go up just very early on Saturday and you want to have a little breakfast or a little brunch, go to Neighborhood
I do feel like
Jam.
I have to go up. Oh, keep going. But talk slowly and dirty to me with this.
Okay, so you're going to want to order the hot jam biscuit, scratch-made biscuit with jalapeno peach jam, fried chicken breast, bacon, 1 egg, however you want it. I would suggest over easy, so you can break that yolk and let it just trickle down. Cheddar. And then breakfast potatoes or hash browns. For an extra $2, you can make it nasty, which is there's gravy on it too. Ari, make it nasty. Make it nasty.
I mean, I think I kind of have to go up the night before after that. Because I do need to wait. At the very least, I'm probably going to leave my house at 7 because I want to get to Norman in time for the kickoff of the 11 a.m. games. And have to be in a hotel or somewhere where we can do an instant reaction video if something goes off the rails. So I guess I could make a case of why are you going up the night before, honey? Because I want to make it nasty in Norman.
Exactly. Now she's not going to know what that means. When you explain that it's about a biscuit, she's probably still going to be pissed.
Yeah,
but you got to do it
better than the alternative. It could be something way worse. So hey,
exactly. I mean, her imagination is going to run wild, and when you say, well, it's this biscuit, she'd be like, okay.
I'll see you on
That's
Sunday.
fine.